Netflix's horror movie Bird Box has struck a chord with viewers, especially since the ending leaves so much room for debate. If it left you scratching your head, we're here to help. Hold on tight, spoilers ahead. Bird Box introduces an unusual post-apocalyptic scenario where humanity is decimated by the emergence of strange, seemingly supernatural monsters. Little is known about these creatures, other than that the very sight of them compels nearly everyone to commit suicide. Josh Malerman's novel, on which the Netflix movie is based, similarly keeps things incredibly vague. It's not clear if they're meant to be demons or ghosts or aliens or some sort of mass hallucination. The one thing Bird Box's climax makes clear, though, is that these creatures can read minds and assume the voice of a person their target would be most susceptible to. That's why Sandra Bullock's character, Mallory, hears the voice of Trevante Rhodes' Tom during the final rush to the compound.
Just take a peek inside me.
This implies both an intelligence and a certain malevolence on the part of the creatures. They're crafty enough to manipulate their victims. At the same time, they don't seem capable of directly harming their victims. They can only do their best to trick humans into looking. Perhaps they don't actually have a physical body. This could also lend support to the idea that these creatures are literal demons from hell, tempting humans into committing suicide and damning their souls to an eternity of torment. The creatures also can use humans. Some humans, typically those who showed signs of mental instability, aren't forced into killing themselves after seeing the creatures. Instead, they become minions for them, forcing the eyes open of those who have not turned yet. The reason Bird Box never definitively explains the nature of its monsters is that the answer doesn't really matter in the end. The monsters are more a means to an end in terms of advancing Mallory's narrative. Ultimately, Bird Box is a story about a woman overcoming severe depression and learning to feel hope and connect with others once more. Mallory's detachment from the rest of the human world is made apparent towards the beginning of the film, as we see her pushing away her boyfriend and even her own mother in order to focus on her art. She reluctantly embraces her responsibilities as a mother after the global disaster unfolds, but even then, she maintains a very militant approach to raising her children. She can't even bring herself to give them real names, referring to them only as boy and girl. In her mind, training them to survive a deadly new world is more important than instilling feelings of love or hope. It's only at the end of their journey down the river that Mallory does finally allow herself to open up and become whole again. She accepts Tom's advice that children need to be allowed to dream and hope, refusing to allow either child to risk death by looking at the rapids. When they finally arrive at the compound, she belatedly gives them the names she denied them in the outside world.
Your name is Olivia. Your name is Tom.
Mallory finally comes to realize that a life without genuine human connection is no kind of life at all. In terms of basic plot, Bird Box sticks pretty closely to Malerman's original novel. The differences mostly involve the setting, Detroit instead of Sacramento, and the fact that certain supporting characters were remixed or created specifically for the film. However, there are a couple of key differences between the way the book and the movie end. For one thing, Tom has a much bigger role in the movie. In the book, he's killed by Gary while Mallory is giving birth and doesn't survive long enough to become a father figure to her children. For another, there's a much greater span of time between the point where Mallory learns about Rick's safe haven and actually embarking on the journey. She first spends several years training her children to survive the wilderness and the unseen enemy that awaits them. The book also ends on a slightly darker note. While Mallory and her children still reach the safety of the school for the blind, there they learn that many residents have taken to purposely blinding themselves in order to better protect against the threat of the creatures outside. Even after reaching safety, the world remains shrouded in permanent darkness for these survivors. Well, what did you think of Bird Box? Tell us in the comments section. And don't forget to check out our other videos, the biggest movies in 2019 we're most excited for, and why The Haunting of Hill House is IGN's 2018 TV show of the year. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.